CIET NCERT presents audiobook Kaveri, Textbook of English for Grade 9.
Chapter 4, Vitamin M, page 97. This chapter has a QR code on the right side of this page, scanning which you will be able to access additional resources. Reflect and respond. 1. From your experience with an elderly person at home or in your neighborhood, complete the following graphic organizer. There is a box at the center which reads Caring for the Elderly. It has 4 arrows on all the sides. On the top, in the box it says, Why should we care for the elderly? On the right-hand side, it says, What could be the possible reasons for the problems faced? On the bottom side, it says, How can we take care of the elderly? And on the left-hand side, it says, What are the problems faced by the elderly? Now discuss the points written in the organizer with your classmates and teacher. Page 98. 2. Fill in the blanks in the table given here. You may check your answers with the help of a dictionary. A table is given here with the headings Word, Not heard this word before, Have heard this word but don't know what it means, I know this word, it has something to do with, Write the meaning of this word. This table is divided into 5 columns. Under Word, the words are 1. Frail, 2. Shuddered, 3. Pokey, 4. Forbid, 5. Pottering, 6. Winced. The rest of the headings are to be filled by you as they have been left blank here. 3. Think of a tradition, story or recipe passed down by grandparents or an elderly relative in your family. What does it mean to you? How does it connect you to your growing up years? Share with your classmates and teacher. Reading for Meaning, Part 1. I wish, said Ravi's mother, hurriedly putting some green, red and orange tablets on a saucer, that somebody would invent a memory vitamin M, they could call it, and we could give it to old people to help them improve their memories. Shh, Grandpa'll hear you, said Ravi, pointing to a frail old figure sitting in the rocking chair, holding the newspaper inches from his nose to read it. Page 99. On the top, a picture is given depicting the grandpa reading the newspaper with a cup of tea. Don't worry, I doubt whether Grandpa can hear me. He doesn't hear too well, or see too well, or even remember too well these days. I'm glad that your holidays have started from today. Now you can look after him. Last month was... She stopped and shuddered at the memory. It was only last month that Ravi's grandpa had come to live with them because he was getting too old to live on his own. It had been a difficult month, with Grandpa having to be admitted to the hospital because he absent-mindedly took a double dose of his medicines, and then gave them several anxious moments when he got lost. On one occasion he went for a walk and forgot the way back home. Grandpa had got very upset when his daughter, Ravi's mother, insisted that he shouldn't go out alone again. I'll have you know, Vidya, my dear, he had told his daughter with a trace of the firmness that had been a natural part of his job as a lawyer, that I've been looking after myself for the better part of my 75 years. After your mother died 10 years ago, I took over her duties as well and have been cooking, shopping and keeping house too. First you forced me to come and live with you in this poky little flat in this horrible, crowded city, and then you think you have the right to forbid me to go out on my own. Grandpa hated the noise and bustle of city life, and when they were on their own, he often spoke longingly of a small brick house in town. The word bustle is given on the right-hand side, which means busy activity. Such a wonderful place, with that big mango tree in the garden. It is so quiet that at dusk you can even hear a leaf fall. Page 100. But then Grandpa had slipped and fallen in the garden late one evening while he was pottering around, and lain outside all night because there was no one at home to pull him up. That was the month ago, and it made Ravi's mother lock up the tiny brick house and bring Grandpa to live with them. Whatever happens, Ravi, you're not to let Grandpa go out on his own. It's too dangerous, she instructed, adding details of medicines to be given to Grandpa after lunch. Turning to her father, she said, I'm off to work, Papa. Ravi will be here to look after you. His holidays have begun from today. Ravi winced at the over-loud tone his mother used when speaking to Grandpa, as though she was speaking to a child who couldn't hear or understand too well. Grandpa continued to rock gently and gave no sign that he had heard her at all. The word winced is given on the left side of the page, which means showed an expression of embarrassment. A picture is also given here, which has the grandpa, the mother, and Ravi. The grandpa is sitting on the chair and the mother is explaining to Ravi to take care of the grandpa before she leaves for work. Page 101. Don't worry, Mama, Ravi promised, looking at his mother's anxious face. He felt sorry for her. You go to work. Grandpa'll be fine at home with me. Shall we play chess or watch the cricket match on TV, Grandpa? Ravi asked after his mother left. Grandpa played a great game of chess, very cool and cunning, and Ravi found that his own game had improved greatly ever since Grandpa had come to live with them. That's the opening move Karpov made when he played against the computer, he would tell Ravi as he moved a piece, or you are making the same mistake that Bobby Pfister made in his historic match against Spassky. How can he remember all those thousands of chess games and still forget the names of people he meets often? Ravi wondered. You set out the chessboard, said Grandpa, putting his paper down. I'll just walk across to the corner shop to see if the Tamil newspaper has arrived. Papa usually buys you the Tamil paper on his way home. But if you want it immediately, I'll go now and buy it for you, Ravi offered. I hope you're not going to be as tiresome as your mother, Ravi, treating me like a baby. Has she told you not to let me go out on my own? Told you to keep me a prisoner here? Has she? Grandpa looked suspicious at this thought. Ravi felt guilty for a moment, then quickly recovered to say loyally, Of course not, Grandpa. Mama would never treat you like a baby or a prisoner. Good, said Grandpa craftily. Then you'll have no objection to my going out. Page 102. He picked up his beautiful shiny black mahogany walking stick with a brass handle carved in the shape of an eagle's head, put on his bright yellow cap, and declared, I'll be back home before you can set up the board, Ravi. On the left-hand side of the page, a picture also depicts the same. The grandpa with his stick going to get the newspaper and telling Ravi to set the board. Off he went, twirling his walking stick jauntily, leaving Ravi in a dilemma. The word jauntily is given on the left-hand side, which means happily and confidently. His grandfather would feel hurt if he insisted on accompanying him, and his mother would be furious if she knew Ravi had let him go out on his own. He heard the elevator door shut as Grandpa went down. Ravi decided he would follow Grandpa secretly at a safe distance to make sure he came to no harm. Check your understanding. 1. Why did Grandpa dislike living in the city with his daughter? 2. Why did Vidya not want her father to go out alone? 3. Was Ravi in favor of his mother treating Grandpa like a child? How can you say so? 4. Would Ravi be able to keep up his promise to his mother? Part 2. Ravi ran out of the building just in time to see Grandpa's yellow cap disappearing round the corner. Grandpa's first stop was the children's park, where he bought himself a paper cone of peanuts and settled on a bench watching the children play. Ravi, feeling very foolish, had to crouch behind a bush trimmed in the shape of an elephant to avoid being seen. He felt even more foolish when a small child came up to him and asked, "Are you playing hide and seek? I can show you a better place to hide." Page 103. The word crouch is given on the right-hand side, which means bend the body low. Shh, shh, was all Ravi could say before he felt a shadow fall over him and a loud voice boomed. "How dare you shoo my child? Who are you?" It was the little boy's mother. "Shh, shh," Ravi repeated to the lady. "I'll shoo you." "You rude boy," said the lady, picking up her umbrella threateningly. The ultimate humiliation was when Ravi had to crawl out of the park in all fours, ducking behind the benches, creeping behind the bushes, thanking his lucky stars that Grandpa hadn't heard the noise and spotted him. On the right-hand side of the page, the word ducking is given, which means moving your head or body down. Grandpa's next stop was the tea stall, and this time Ravi took position behind a big banyan tree to watch him, feeling most embarrassed when the vendors sitting under the tree gave him quizzical looks. "This area is booked by us," said one lady who was selling plastic combs. In the same tone she might use were she asked to address a gathering without being given a loudspeaker. "There's no room for any new vendors." "Shh, don't talk so loudly." "Do I look as though I'm selling anything?" Ravi asked her. "Who's talking loudly?" said the old lady, raising a voice just enough for Ravi to hear her, as though she was talking to him from across the city. Page 104. "Who are you accusing of talking loudly, and that too from behind the tree? Who are you hiding from?" another vendor selling ribbons and clips asked. She too was one of those lucky ones who would never ever require a megaphone. She too was one of those lucky ones who would never ever require a megaphone. "Are you talking about one of us?" asked another vendor. A group of them surrounded Ravi. "Oh, all right." Ravi conceded defeat and moved to duck behind a shiny silver car, peering through the windows to keep an eye on his grandfather. Grandpa took his time sipping a sugary cup of tea. In brackets, he was forbidden sugar at home. Then ate 2 bananas. In brackets, another banned item. Then tucked into an ice cream bought from the cart. In brackets, mother would faint if she saw this. Ravi himself felt hot, bothered, and close to fainting by the time Grandpa finished his snack. His heart thudded anxiously when he saw Grandpa zigzagging through the traffic as he crossed the road. He shut his eyes in panic when he heard the screech of brakes and opened them just in time to see Grandpa entering the barber shop. Now Grandpa was as bald as a table tennis ball, so Ravi decided that a closer look was in order. He crossed the road, first looking dramatically left and then right, and then hurriedly ducked into the shop next to the barber shop, only to be evicted a moment later amidst a volley of feminine shrieks because it happened to be a ladies' hairdressing salon. The word "a volley of" is given at the right-hand side, which means a lot of. Just as well I was thrown out, thought Ravi, because he spotted Grandpa making his way briskly towards the bus stop and, oh no, boarding the first bus that stopped there. Page 105. At the top of the page, we have a picture. It has the driver and the passengers sitting in the bus, and the Grandpa is also sitting on the third seat, calmly and enjoying the ride. Sprinting for the bus and jumping onto it seconds before it started would have deterred a lesser detective, but not Ravi, who was panting as he struggled for a place in the bus. He could see Grandpa's yellow cap somewhere in the front. It was warm inside the bus, so Grandpa took off his cap to reveal a full head of grey hair. Ravi was startled. Surely Grandpa couldn't have bought a wig at the barber shop. he thought, pushing his way to the front of the bus to confront the cap wearer. At the side of the page, the word confront has been given, which means face. It was a total stranger. He was wearing a white pajama and shirt, which was Grandpa's standard attire, and a yellow cap exactly like Grandpa's. But wait, the cap had a coffee stain on its rim, just like Grandpa's. Page 106. The page starts with a picture of the bus where the driver is driving and Ravi is speaking to that stranger who was wearing the Grandpa's yellow cap. Grandpa's cap, Ravi couldn't help exclaiming. The stranger grinned pleasantly and told Ravi that a kind old gentleman in the barber shop had insisted that he take his cap because it was such a hot day. That was typical of Grandpa, always generous. But where was Grandpa? Check your understanding. 1. Complete the flow chart by describing Grandpa's day out. The flow chart is given in the boxes. I will read them one by one. Grandpa goes out to get Tamil newspaper. Ravi follows Grandpa. Grandpa first stop at 1, blank space. Buys 2, blank space, and watches blank space. Ravi hides behind a bush to observe. Grandpa next goes to 3, blank space. Ravi hides behind a banyan tree and watches. Ravi gets scolded by 4, blank space and blank space. Grandpa drinks 5, blank space and eats blank space. Grandpa then crosses the road and enters a 6, blank space. Next, Grandpa walks quickly to a 7, blank space and blank space. Ravi enters the bus only to discover that he had been fooled. 2. Was Grandpa lost as feared by Ravi's mother? 3. How would Ravi feel after seeing Grandpa? 4. Do you think Ravi's mother will get to know about what had happened? Page number 107. Part 3. Ravi went back to the barber shop. Grandpa wasn't there. He wasn't at the park either. Ravi was frantic. After all, his mother had left him in charge of Grandpa. Part 3. Ravi went back to the barber shop. Grandpa wasn't there. He wasn't at the park either. Ravi was frantic. The word frantic has been given on the left-hand side, which means very frightened. After all, his mother had left him in charge of Grandpa. He tried calling first his mother and then his father from a telephone booth, but both numbers were busy. Sick with worry, Ravi went home, wondering whether Grandpa would be able to find his way back. To his great delight and relief, the first thing he heard when he opened the front door was the gentle whir of Grandpa snoring in his bedroom. He knelt down near the bed and put his cheek against the old man's face. Grandpa's wrinkled skin had more creases than lines on a map. The word creases is given on the right-hand side, which means lines. Grandpa smelt of eucalyptus ointment and shaving cream. Ravi was suddenly overcome with affection for his grandfather and gave him a hug. But Grandpa only grunted in his sleep. He decided not to question Grandpa because then he would have to reveal that he had been following him. "What did you both do today?" asked Ravi's mother when she got back from office. "I had a quiet morning, but I don't know about Ravi. He just disappeared instead of staying at home to look after me, like you told him to," answered Grandpa coolly, while Ravi just looked confused and embarrassed. Grandpa had another surprise for Ravi, a gift-wrapped parcel. Page 108. "But Papa, Ravi's birthday was 3 months ago. Have you forgotten?" exclaimed Ravi's mother impatiently. A picture is depicted here which has the grandfather, the father and mother and Ravi, and the grandfather giving the book to Ravi. "No, but you know, I always give a gift to every child in the house on my birthday. Have you forgotten? Countered Grandpa very seriously. Ravi's mother flushed and darted a stricken look at the calendar on which she had, at the beginning of the year, circled the date in red and written Papa's birthday. There was a gift for her too, and for Ravi's father as well, for Grandpa still considered them his babies. The word darted has been given on the left-hand side, which means looked at somebody quickly. Grandpa turned to Ravi's father, who had just walked into the room. My daughter needs some vitamin M, I think, for her memory. Ravi's mother flushed a darker shade of red, and Ravi's father looked confused. Ravi unwrapped his gift to find a thick hardcover book, The Best Detective Stories. Great stories, Ravi. You can pick up some really good tips on how to be a detective. How to avoid getting fooled when one is trailing a suspect, for instance, Grandpa said solemnly. The word trailing has been given on the right-hand side, meaning following, and the word solemnly means seriously. I don't think he wants to be a detective, do you, Ravi? Asked his father, looking even more confused. I haven't decided yet, answered Ravi, because he was too busy trying to decide whether the twinkle in Grandpa's eye was an innocent gleam or a mischievous one. By Asha Nehemiah. Check your understanding. 1. Describe how Ravi's emotional reaction upon finding Grandpa safe at home reveals his feelings towards his grandfather. 2. What might be the significance of Grandpa's habit of giving gifts to everyone on his birthday rather than receiving them? 3. Why do you think Grandpa gave Ravi a detective story book as a gift? What might this suggest about Grandpa's awareness of Ravi's actions earlier in the day? Page 109. Critical Reflection. 1. Read the extracts given below and answer the questions that follow. 1. Grandpa hated the noise and bustle of city life, and when they were on their own, he often spoke longingly of a small brick house in town. Such a wonderful place, with that big mango tree in the garden. It is so quiet that at dusk you can even hear a leaf fall. But then Grandpa had slipped and fallen in the garden late one evening while he was pottering around and lain outside all night because there was no one at home to help him up. Page 110. 1. Choose the emotion displayed by the grandfather. A. Regretful. B. Apologetic. C. Nostalgic. D. Wistful. 2. Complete the following sentence with a reason. Grandpa hated the busy and noisy city life because... blank space. 3. Why did Grandpa come to the city despite his dislike for city life? 4. Choose an expression similar in meaning to you can even hear a leaf fall. A. End of one's life. B. Arrival of autumn. C. Sign of good luck. D. Pin drop silence. 5. State one advantage and one disadvantage of the grandfather living in the house in town. 2nd. I had a quiet morning, but I don't know about Ravi. He just disappeared instead of staying at home to look after me like you told him to, answered Grandpa coolly, while Ravi just looked confused and embarrassed. Grandpa had another surprise for Ravi, a gift-wrapped parcel. But Papa, Ravi's birthday was 3 months ago. Have you forgotten? Exclaimed Ravi's mother impatiently. 1. Choose the option that displays the tone of the grandfather's response. A. Apologetic. B. Hurtful. C. Calm. D. Puzzled. 2. Why was Ravi confused and embarrassed? 3. Complete the sentence with a suitable reason. Ravi's mother was impatient because... blank space. 4. State whether the following sentence is true or false. Grandfather forgot that Ravi's birthday was 3 months ago. 5. Why did Grandpa say he didn't know what kind of morning Ravi might have had? Page 111. Exercise 2. Answer the following questions. 1. Grandpa is portrayed as a person with failing memory in the beginning of the story. Give 2 evidences to disprove the statement. 2. Give 2 characteristic traits of each of the following characters. 1. Grandfather. 2. Ravi. 3. Ravi's mother. 3. Why was Ravi worried about what grandfather had at the tea stall? 4. Do you think it was easy for Ravi to follow his grandfather? If yes, why? If no, why not? 5. Ravi is a good detective. Give 1 argument in favor of and against the given statement. 6. Was grandfather aware that Ravi was following him? How do you know? 7. In your opinion, who needs vitamin M and why? 8. Some people believe society shows bias based on age, in brackets, being young or old. Give an example where you might have experienced or observed such discrimination when opinions were disregarded because of age. Vocabulary and structures in context. 1. Classify the words given in the box on the next page into movement words in column 1 and sound words in column 2. 1 example has been done for you. Page 112. A box is given in which certain words are there. The words are pottering, bustle, ducked, evicted, jumping, boomed, crawl, shrieks, briskly, darted, twirling, creeping, zigzagging, sprinting, trailing, crouch, thudded, whir, grunted, snoring. Also given here is a table with 2 columns, column 1 and column 2. The first is done for you, the rest has to be done by you. The first one is pottering in column 1 and column 2 has boomed. Now fill in the blanks with appropriate words from column 1 or column 2. Detective Shankar, 1, blank space, the mysterious suspect through the dimly lit side lanes away from the 2, blank space, of the city quickened his pace. 3, blank space, the suspect's heavy footsteps. 4, blank space, across the street, unaware of the pursuit. Shankar, 5, blank space, his magnifying glass had to 6, blank space, behind the market stalls. 7, blank space, through the lanes to avoid being seen. Shankar, 8, blank space, when he hit himself against a pole. This alarmed the suspect and he, 9, blank space, into the night, leaving only the distant 10, blank space, of the sleeping city behind. A picture is depicted here with a man carrying a magnifying glass and walking. Page 113. Exercise 2. Study the highlighted word in the given sentence from the text and fill in the boxes with synonymous words. You may refer to a dictionary. Off he went, twirling his walking stick jauntily, leaving Ravi in a dilemma. The 3 boxes with the word dilemma in the center and the arrow on both sides. The first word is QU blank ND blank blank Y, and the other side, the other word is PR blank D blank C blank M blank NT. Exercise 3. Fill in the table given here. Check your answers with the help of a dictionary. A table is given here with headings, word, meaning, part of speech, synonym, antonym. This table has 5 columns. Under word, few words are given and the rest of the table has to be filled by you. The words are 1. Craftily, 2. Dilemma, 3. Furious, 4. Boomed, 5. Humiliation, 6. Attire. Exercise 4. Match the emotions / expressions in column 1 with their meanings in column 2. One meaning is extra. A table is given here with 2 columns, column 1 and column 2. Column 1 is about emotions and expressions and column 2 is about the meanings. I will read column 1 first and then column 2. Column 1. 1. Embarrassed. 2. Countered. 3. Flushed. 4. Stricken. 5. Gleam. Column 2, which is about meanings. 1. Affected severely by an unpleasant feeling. 2. To be confused. 3. Expression of emotion. 4. Reply to an argument. 5. Felt uncomfortable. 6. Became red in the face. Page number 114. Exercise 5. Read the highlighted words in the following phrases from the story. Now, revisit the story and underline the prepositions. 1. I'll just walk across to the corner shop. Across is highlighted. 2. He felt a shadow fall over him. Over is highlighted. 3. The vendors sitting under the tree. Under is highlighted. 4. Ravi took position behind a big banyan. Behind is highlighted. In a box, it is given, prepositions are words used to show the relationship of a noun or pronoun to other words in a sentence, often indicating direction, location, time, or manner. Now fill in the blanks with appropriate prepositions. I walked 1, blank space, in brackets, through, between, against. The village crossed a bridge. 2, blank space, in brackets, over, under, beside. A brook, and found a quiet garden. 3, blank space, in brackets, among, near, across. A cottage. Sitting on a bench. 4, blank space, in brackets, on, at, in, the garden. I enjoyed the peaceful surroundings. Later, I strolled. 5, blank space, in brackets, beside, through, along. A riverbank, exploring the forest and heading. 6, blank space, in brackets, into, towards, beyond, the unknown. Exercise 6. Read the following dialogues from the story. 1. Shall we play chess or watch the cricket match on TV, Grandpa? Asked Ravi. 2. Who are you? Said the little boy's mother. 3. What did you both do today? Asked Ravi's mother. 4. Have you forgotten? Countered Grandpa. 5. A small child came up to him and asked, Are you playing hide and seek? Now choose the correct answer. A. The words in the quotes are 1, blank space, exclamatory / interrogative sentences. B. Sentences 1, 4 and 5 are 2, blank space, in brackets, WH hyphen / yes, comma, no type. Interrogative sentences. C. Sentences 2 and 3 are 3, blank space, in brackets, WH hyphen / yes, comma, no type. Interrogative sentences. So there are 4, blank space, in brackets, 2, 3 types of interrogative sentences. Page 115. A box is given here which says the words in quotes are the exact words of the speaker, hence known as direct speech. In indirect speech or reported speech, somebody else reports these words at some other time and at some other place. D. Let us give a quick glance at a few guidelines to remind you of the changes while transforming from direct form of speech to indirect. You can ask your teacher for more inputs. A table is given here with 4 columns. The columns are headed as direct speech, indirect speech, direct speech, indirect speech. There are 4 sections to it, and then a subheading is also given, which is pronouns. We will go with the first part 1. Under direct speech is written present, indirect speech past, direct speech here, indirect speech there. Under direct speech, the second section says past, indirect speech past perfect, direct speech today, indirect speech that day. The third section is present progressive. Under direct speech, Indirect speech, it is past progressive. Direct speech is tomorrow. Indirect speech is the following day. Under direct speech, the fourth section says past progressive. Indirect speech, past perfect progressive. Direct speech, now. Indirect speech, then. Under pronouns, under direct speech, the section says I. Under indirect speech, he/she. Direct speech, we. Indirect speech, they. Second, you. Under direct speech, indirect speech, he/she/they. Direct speech, our. Indirect speech, their. There's another table given here, which is divided into two parts, direct to indirect, steps to remember. Now, under direct to indirect, it is written both WH-type and yes/no type. Steps to remember, converting the interrogative sentence into declarative sentence. Second, yes/no type. Steps to remember, use of if or whether next to the reporting verb. Direct to indirect, point 3, WH-type. Steps to remember, use of the same WH word next to the reporting verb. Page 116. Exercise 7. Read the following conversation. Arvind, do you help in taking care of your grandparents at home? Priya, yes I do. We take turns making sure they are all right. Do you have grandparents living with you? Arvind, no. My parents and I visit my grandpa every weekend. How do you manage your grandparents' medical needs? Priya, we have a schedule for giving medications and visit to the doctor. Now complete the following sentences in reported speech. Arvind asked Priya if she 1. Blank space, for which Priya replied in the affirmative and said that they too, blank space. Priya further asked Arvind 3. Blank space. Now complete the following sentences in reported speech. Arvind asked Priya if she 1. Blank space, for which Priya replied in the affirmative and said that they, 2. Blank space. Priya further asked Arvind 3. Blank space. Arvind replied in the negative and said that 4. Blank space. Every weekend. He further inquired 5. Blank space. Priya responded by saying that they 6. Blank space. Also given is a picture of Arvind and Priya conversing with each other. Listen and respond. 1. You will listen to a podcast on meditation. As you listen, complete the sentences with not more than 3 exact words that you hear. In brackets, transcript for teacher on page 266. 1. Meditation is a form of yoga that usually refreshes the mind and helps with blank space. 2. Meditation leads to a better health condition, both blank space. 3. Meditation also aids in lessening undesirable feelings and improving dash blank space. 4. It is advised that we meditate every day so that it becomes a blank space. 5th, meditating on a daily basis is beneficial in comfortably tackling blank space. Page 117. Speaking activity. 1. Intonation refers to a pitch of the voice while speaking. In questions, intonation can indicate the sentiment or the expected response. For example, what is your name? In WH and how questions, we use a falling intonation towards the end. Are you feeling okay? In brackets. In yes or no questions, we use a rising intonation towards the end. This is your notebook, isn't it? In brackets, when we have an affirmative main clause and negative question tag, we use a rising intonation to show we are fairly sure of the answer. You weren't in the library yesterday, were you? When we have a negative main clause and affirmative question tag, we use a falling intonation to show we are unsure of the answer. Shall we read this storybook or borrow another one? In bracket, when we have a question with choices, we use rise, fall intonation. Page 118. Now, revisit the story and select different questions, work in pairs, and practice speaking them aloud according to the examples shared. 2. Make a presentation about a brief personal experience related to taking care of an older person. For example, mention a specific individual you cared for or an occasion when you provided assistance to that person. You may use the following prompts to structure your narration. 1. Background of your experience. The person I had the privilege of taking care of was, I found myself in a caregiving role for, I took on the responsibility of caring for. 2. Reflect on what you learned about yourself during this caregiving experience. Did you discover any new qualities or strengths in yourself? How did your experience contribute to your personal growth? 3. Caring for someone taught me valuable lessons about myself, including 4. In this role, I learned that I possess the ability to 5. One significant realization about me during this experience was, discuss what you learned about the older person you were caring for. What insights did you gain into their needs, preferences, or challenges? How did your understanding of aging evolve through this experience? 6. Understanding the needs and preferences of the older person, I learned that 7. Their challenges offered insights into the difficulties of aging, such as 8. Caring for them deepened my understanding of the aging process, particularly. Page 119. Writing task. 1. As you read in the story, we have a lot to learn from our elderly. Based on the lessons learned from them, write an article for your school magazine on the topic, Our Inspiring Elderly. Organize the article in the manner given below. Follow the steps given below to write an article about your skills and passions. 1. Write the title at the top and your name and grade below it. 2. Paragraph 1. Give a brief introduction to the topic. Focus on the main idea, but do not give any details. 3. Paragraph 2. Give details to support the main idea. How the elderly inspire. Include examples, facts, and quotations. 4. Paragraph 3. Elaborate on how they overcame challenges and the inspiring impact on you. 5. Paragraph 4. Conclude with a final comment on the topic and leave the reader with the most important ideas to think about. Learning beyond the text. 1. Revisit the story and choose the image that correctly displays Grandpa's walking stick. There are 4 images of the walking stick given here. All are different. 1 has a short head. 2nd has a long head like a duck. The 3rd has a small head like a duck. And the 4th is totally curved. Page 120. 2. A picture's worth 1,000 words. Explore and revisit memories. Collect a few memorable photographs of yourself and your family. Make a slideshow. Mention the following. When and where was it clicked? Who are the people in the photograph? Why is it memorable for you? 3. You must have read stories about taking care of the family members of all age groups in English and also in your own language. Now listen to the story given here. Discuss with your classmates and teacher. The Lost Child. It was the festival of spring. From the wintry shades of narrow lanes and alleys emerged a gaily clad humanity. Some walked, some rode on horses, others sat, being carried in bamboo and bullock carts. One little boy ran between his father's legs, brimming over with life and laughter. "Come, child, come," called his parents as he lagged behind, fascinated by the toys in the shops that lined the way. He hurried towards his parents, his feet obedient to their call, his eyes still lingering on the receding toys. As he came to where they had stopped to wait for him, he could not suppress the desire of his heart, even though he well knew the old, cold stare of refusal in their eyes. "I want that toy," he pleaded. His father looked at him red-eyed in his familiar tyrant's way. His mother, melted by the free spirit of the day, was tender, and giving him a finger to hold, said, "Look, child, what is before you?" It was a flowering mustard field, pale like melting gold, as it swept across miles and miles of even land. Page 121. A group of dragonflies were bustling about on their gaudy purple wings, intercepting the flight of a lone black bee or butterfly in search of sweetness from the flowers. The child followed them in the air with his gaze, till one of them would still its wings and rest, and he would try to catch it. But it would go fluttering, flapping up into the air when he had almost caught it in his hands. Then his mother gave a cautionary call. "Come, child, come, come onto the footpath." He ran towards his parents gaily and walked abreast of them for a while, being, however, soon left behind, attracted by the little insects and worms along the footpath that were teeming out from their hiding places to enjoy the sunshine. "Come, child, come," his parents called from the shade of a grove where they had seated themselves on the edge of a well. He ran towards them. A shower of young flowers fell upon the child as he entered the grove, and forgetting his parents, he began to gather the raining petals in his hands. But lo! He heard the cooing of doves and ran towards his parents, shouting, "The dove! The dove!" The raining petals dropped from his forgotten hands. "Come, child, come," they called to the child, who had now gone running in wild capers round the banyan tree, and gathering him up, they took the narrow, winding footpath which led to the fair through the mustard fields. As they neared the village, the child could see many other footpaths full of throngs converging to the whirlpool of the fair, and felt at once repelled and fascinated by the confusion of the world he was entering. Page 122. A sweetmeat seller hawked gulab jamun, rasgulla, barfi, jalebi at the corner of the entrance, and a crowd pressed round his counter at the foot of an architecture of many coloured sweets decorated with leaves of silver and gold. The child stared open-eyed and his mouth watered for the barfi that was his favourite sweet. "I want that barfi," he slowly murmured. But he half knew, as he begged, that his plea would not be heeded because his parents would say he was greedy. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. A flower seller hawked a garland of gulmohar. The child seemed irresistibly drawn. He went towards the basket where the flowers lay heaped and half murmured, "I want that garland." But he well knew his parents would refuse to buy him those flowers because they would say that they were cheap. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. A man stood holding a pole with yellow, red, green and purple balloons flying from it. The child was simply carried away by the rainbow glory of their silken colours, and he was filled with an overwhelming desire to possess them all. But he well knew his parents would never buy him the balloons because they would say he was too old to play with such toys. So he walked on farther. A snake charmer stood playing a flute to a snake which coiled itself in a basket, its head raised in a graceful bend like the neck of a swan, while the music stole into its invisible ears like the gentle rippling of an invisible waterfall. The child went towards the snake charmer, but knowing his parents had forbidden him to hear such coarse music as the snake charmer played, he proceeded farther. There was a roundabout in full swing. Men, women and children, carried away in a whirling motion, shrieked and cried with dizzy laughter. The child watched them intently, and then he made a bold request. "I want to go on the roundabout. Please, father, mother." Page 123. There was no reply. He turned to look at his parents. They were not there ahead of him. He turned to look on either side. They were not there. He looked behind. There was no sign of them. A full deep cry rose within his dry throat, and with a sudden jerk of his body, he ran from where he stood, crying in real fear, "Mother! Father!" Tears rolled down from his eyes, hot and fierce. His flushed face was convulsed with fear. Panic-stricken, he ran to one side first, then to the other, hither and thither in all directions, knowing not where to go. "Mother! Father!" he wailed. His yellow turban came untied and his clothes became muddy. Having run to and fro in a rage of running for a while, he stood defeated, his cries suppressed into sobs. At little distances on the green grass he could see, through his filmy eyes, men and women talking. He tried to look intently among the patches of bright yellow clothes, but there was no sign of his father and mother among these people, who seemed to laugh and talk just for the sake of laughing and talking. He ran quickly again, this time to a shrine to which people seemed to be crowding. Every little inch of space here was congested with men, but he ran through people's legs, his little sob lingering. "Mother! Father!" near the entrance to the temple. However, the crowd became very thick. Men jostled each other, heavy men with flashing, murderous eyes and hefty shoulders. The poor child struggled to thrust away between their feet, but knocked to and fro by the brutal movements, he might have been trampled underfoot had he not shrieked at the highest pitch of his voice, "Father! Mother!" A man in the surging crowd heard his cry, and stooping with great difficulty, lifted it up in his arms. Page 124. "How did you get here, child? Whose baby are you?" the man asked as he steered clear of the mass. The child wept more bitterly than ever now and only cried, "I want my mother. I want my father." The man tried to soothe him by taking him to the roundabout. "Will you have a ride on the horse?" he gently asked as he approached the ring. The child's throat tore into 1,000 shrill sobs, and he only shouted, "I want my mother. I want my father." The man headed towards the place where the snake charmer still played on the flute to the swaying cobra. "Listen to that nice music, child," he pleaded. But the child shut his eyes with his fingers and shouted his double-pitched strain, "I want my mother. I want my father." The man took him near the balloons, thinking the bright colors of the balloons would distract the child's attention and quieten him. "Would you like a rainbow-colored balloon?" he persuasively asked. The child turned his eyes from the flying balloons and just sobbed, "I want my mother. I want my father." The man, still trying to make the child happy, bore him to the gate where the flower seller sat. "Look, can you smell those nice flowers, child? Would you like a garland to put round your neck?" The child turned his nose away from the basket and reiterated his sob, "I want my mother. I want my father." Thinking to humor his disconsolate charge by a gift of sweets, the man took him to the counter of the sweet shop. "What sweets would you like, child?" he asked. The child turned his face from the sweet shop and only sobbed, "I want my mother. I want my father." By Mulk Raj Anand. Page 126. I cannot remember my mother. Reflect and respond. 1. Work in pairs. Discuss the memories from your childhood that you remember. List them and share with your classmates and teacher. 2. Discuss how children's relationship with their mother can influence their emotions and memories. 3. Match the words given in column 1 with their meanings in column 2. Here a table is given with 2 sections, column 1, column 2. I will read the column 1 first and then the column 2. Column 1, hover. 2, hum. 3, cradle. 4, shiuli. 5, morning service. 6, gaze. And now the column 2. 1, sing a tune with your lips closed. 2, a type of flower. In brackets, coral, jasmine. 3, look steadily for a long time. 4, rituals conducted in a temple. 5, linger or remain near a place. 6, a small bed for a baby. At the topmost corner of page 126, on the right-hand side, in a circle, an image is depicted which has a child imagining his mother and the love for her. Page 127. Reading for appreciation. I cannot remember my mother, only sometimes in the midst of my play. A tune seems to hover over my playthings, the tune of some song that he used to hum while rocking my cradle. I cannot remember my mother, but when, in the early autumn morning, the smell of the shiuli flowers floats in the air, the scent of the morning service in the temple comes to me as the scent of my mother. I cannot remember my mother, only when from my bedroom window I send my eyes into the blue of the distant sky, I feel that the stillness of my mother's gaze on my face has spread all over the sky. By Rabindranath Tagore. The poem is also depicted by 2 pictures on the side. The first picture has the mother and the baby in the cradle. The mother is rocking the cradle. In the second picture, the child is standing at the window and seeing across the blue sky. Check your understanding. 1. Fill in the blanks with appropriate words. Stanza 1. The poet remembers his mother while he blank space. 2. The poet remembers the blank space but not the blank space. Setting blank space in brackets outdoor/indoor. Page 128. Stanza 2. 1. The poet remembers his mother in the blank space season. 2. The poet remembers his mother by the smell of blank space setting blank space in brackets outdoor indoor. Stanza 3. 1. The poet feels that his mother blank space at him from the blank space setting blank space in brackets outdoor/indoor. Exercise 2. The senses of olfactory bracket smell, auditory in bracket hearing, and visual in bracket sight are 3 of the 5 basic senses in humans. Give examples of references to senses from the poem. Complete the table given here. A table is given here with 3 sections. There are 3 headings on it. First is stanza, the second is lines from the poem, the third is senses. Under stanza number 1, lines from the poem are left blank, senses have been left blank for you to fill. In stanza 2, lines from the poem are given, the tune of some song that she used to hum while rocking my cradle. Senses is supposed to be filled by you. In stanza 3, lines from the poem is blank. Under senses, olfactory is given. Exercise 3. Read the poem silently once again and complete the following. 1. Two examples of alliteration from the poem are 1. Blank space and 2. Blank space. 2. An example of onomatopoeia is blank space. 3. The poem uses imagery extensively. Explain. 4. Although the poem does not have a rhyme scheme, it is enjoyable because blank space. 5. What is the tone of the poet? Why do you say so? 6. What impact does the title of the poem have on the overall mood of the poem? 7. The poet uses I cannot remember my mother as a refrain because blank space. 8. The poet uses symbolism to indicate the memory of his mother's presence. Identify the symbols used in the poem. Page 129. In a box, it is given, symbolism is a literary device in which a writer uses a tangible object, abstract idea, or phenomena that represents something beyond the literal meaning. It helps the poet convey deeper meanings and to connect with readers on an emotional level. Also in the box is given refrain. Refrain is a poetic device defined as a line or a group of lines that is repeated at regular intervals in a poem. Critical reflection. 1. Read the extracts given below and answer the questions that follow. 1. I cannot remember my mother. Only sometimes in the midst of my play, a tune seems to hover over my playthings. 1. Complete the following sentence appropriately. The poet is reminded of his mother during his blank space. 2. What is the primary emotion conveyed by the line, a tune seems to hover over my playthings? A. It enhances the joy of play. B. It disrupts the playtime atmosphere. C. It activates memories of the mother. D. It symbolizes the carefree nature of childhood. Page 130. 3. In the context of the poem, what role does the hovering tune play during the speaker's playtime? 4. State whether the following sentence is true or false. The poet experiences the tune lingering over playthings only occasionally during playtime. 5th. How could the poet feel his mother's presence even though she isn't there? 2. I feel that the stillness of my mother's gaze on my face has spread all over the sky. 1. What does the poet suggest about the stillness of his mother's gaze spreading over the sky? A. The mother's gaze is physically present in the sky. B. The sky is a symbolic extension of the mother's presence. C. The sky mirrors the mother's emotion. D. The stillness is fleeting and unrelated to the mother. 2. What emotion does the poet associate with the stillness of his mother's gaze? A. A sense of grief. B. A sense of anticipation. C. A sense of nostalgia. D. A sense of serenity. 3. State whether the following sentence is true or false. The poem suggests that the mother's gaze has a tangible and visual effect on the sky. 4. What is the purpose of likening the mother's gaze to the sky? 5. Complete the sentence appropriately. The tone of the poet in the given extract is blank because blank. Page 131. Exercise 2. Answer the following questions. 1. What is the emotional impact of the refrain, I cannot remember my mother? 2. Interpret the connection between the poet's mother and the following. 1. Shioli flowers. 2. Humming tune. 3. What role does nature play in the poet's description of the memory of his mother? 4. What can be inferred about the poet's perception of the mother-child relationship? Vocabulary in context. 1. Work in pairs to classify the sensory words given in the box here. One example has been done for you. The words in the box are rustle, rough, stale, gloomy, squeaky, fragrant, hairy, sticky, chilled, sizzle, deafening, stinky, smooth, glowing, aroma, minuscule, vibrant, crimson, slimy, hiss, gigantic, scent, pungent, fluffy, ear-splitting. A table is given here which has 4 headings: visual, auditory, olfactory, tactile. The first has been done for you. Under visual is glowing, under auditory is hiss, under olfactory is aroma, under tactile is sticky. Page 132. Exercise 2. Fill in the blanks with sensory words in the box for the following passage written by Sarojini Naidu. There are 2 extra words. In the box, the words given are scarlet, flaming, smooth, shrill, sense, sizzle, sweetness, perfumes, essence. Come and share my exquisite March morning with me, the sumptuous blaze of gold and sapphire sky. These, 1, blank space, lilies that adorn the sunshine, the voluptuous, 2, blank space of neem and champak and serisha that beat upon the languid air with their implacable, 3, blank space, the 1,000 little gold and blue and silver-breasted birds bursting with the 4, blank space, ecstasy of life in nesting time. And do you know that the scarlet lilies are woven petal by petal from my heart's blood? These little quivering birds are my soul made incarnate music. These heavy 5, blank space, are my emotions dissolved into aerial 6, blank space. This 7, blank space, blue and gold sky is the very me. Exercise 3. Write numbers against each picture with the phrases that describe them with their sensorial associations. One example has been done for you. 1. Beats of music echo in air. 2. Melody of soothing scent dancing in the air. 3. Fragrant breeze of blooming buds. 4. Gentle lullaby or soft melody. 5. Colorful sky painting a lively sight. 6. Attractive canvas painting the horizon. Page 133. The pictures are given here. The first picture is of 2 hands plucking flowers. The second picture is of mother cradling the baby. The third picture is of flying kites. The fourth picture is of a scenery. The fifth picture is of 2 tablas. The sixth picture is of incense burning. The tabla picture has 1 written under it. Listen and respond. 1. You will listen to 4 short extracts of people expressing their childhood memories. As you listen, match each statement 1 to 6 to each speaker 1 to 4. There are 2 statements that you do not need. In brackets, transcript for teacher on page 266. There is a table given here, and the headings given here are statement and speaker. Under statement, point number 1 is, the precious memories by the seaside are not the same anymore. Point 2, my grandfather's encouragement influences me in moments of difficulty. Point 3, the school days are a source of recollection to stay in touch. Point 4, childhood days are about freedom and ordinary pleasures in outdoor activities. Point 5, memories of school days are grandparents and my funny tales. Point 6, parents urge us to be adventurous and discover nature, but with limitations. Section under speaker is left empty to be filled by you. Page 134. Speaking activity. 1. Work in pairs. Think of an object, song or a place that is memorable for you. Take turns to speak about it using the prompts given here. Introduce it briefly. Describe it in detail, including sensory details. Narrate the specific memory associated with it. Explain how it has impacted your life. Summarize why this memory is meaningful to you even now. You may use the following phrases. During my childhood. Growing up, I fondly remember. Recalling those early years, I can't forget. In my younger days, I used to. I have a clear memory of. A routine activity in my childhood involved. A cherished part of my childhood includes. As a child, I was fond of. One of my favorite childhood moments is. Thinking about my early years, I recall. A common occurrence during my youth was. Page 135. Writing task. 1. Imagine you had been on a school trip to a scenic place which appealed to all your senses. Write a diary entry describing the place and why it was a memorable experience. Contents of the diary entry. Begin with date and time. Use only first person in brackets, I, my. Capture sensory details. Express emotions. Focus on significant moments and experiences. Conclude with reflection. Also, a picture of a diary is given here with a pen. A note is given in a box. Anne Frank and Zlata Filipovich considered their diaries as their friends and therefore began their diary entries with Dear Diary. However, Samuel Pepys considered his diary to be a documentation of facts, his thoughts and feelings. So he did not begin his diary entries with Dear Diary. Learning beyond the text. 1. You read about the Shioli flowers from the poem. Gather more information on unique flowers of India, where they are found, how they look, what smell they emit, and what the historical significance is, if any. In brackets, for example, Kurinji or Neela Kurinji that blooms once in 12 years. Add more flowers to this list. Shioli flowers, known as Parijat, Parijata and Harsingar, revered and used for various ceremonial purposes, release a sweet fragrance associated with numerous Indian legends, bloom exclusively during the night. Page 136. 2. You must have read poems and songs related to the theme of family, friends and their reminiscences, in English and also in your own language. Collect these poems and songs and share with your classmates and teacher. Now, read and enjoy the poem given below. I remember, I remember. I remember, I remember the house where I was born, the little window where the sun came peeping in at morn. He never came a wink too soon, nor brought too long a day, but now I often wish the night had borne my breath away. I remember the roses red and white, the violets and the lily cups, those flowers made of light, the lilacs where the robin built, and where my brother sat, the laburnum on his birthday, the tree is living yet. By Thomas Hood. Also, a picture is given here with the scenery of the sun setting down and a river and the sky turning orange and pink because of the evening. Chapter 4 ends here.
Kaveri, you were just listening to this audiobook, textbook of English for grade 9. Narration, Dr. Lipakshi Khurana. Sound recordist, Muhammad Faizan Khan. Assistance in production, Chetna Sharma. Directed and produced by Vimlesh Chaudhary. This audiobook is brought to you by CIET NCERT, New Delhi, India.